do hereby find the defendant Michael Amiott guilty of assault, a misdemeanor.
An Ohio police officer has been convicted of assaulting a black motorist during a 2017 traffic stop. Before we cover the details of the verdict, we need to revisit the traffic stop incident.
In the video, Richard Hubbard was repeatedly punched after a traffic stop back in August of 2017. Police said Hubbard ignored commands to get out of the car and face away. The video shows patrolman Michael Amiott taking Hubbard to the ground and punching him multiple times. Initially, Amiott was suspended and then fired after Euclid Mayor Kristen Gale said her office had received, quote, further complaints regarding Amiott's professional conduct and found that he had violated additional department rules. But the officer later got his job back when an arbitrator ruled that he should be rehired nearly a year after he was terminated. Euclid police say Amiott has now been placed on administrative duties in light of the new charges. The Fraternal Order of Police released a statement saying they support the officer, and they said, quote, Amiott was attempting to effect a lawful arrest, and the suspect resisted. Officer Amiott, who was injured in the encounter, took the measures that he reasonably believed to be necessary to effect the arrest and protect himself from further harm.
Now the lawsuit. The lawsuit claimed that the officers who attacked the couple fist bumped each other after the attack. After completing the arrest, members of the Euclid Police Department were observed by eyewitnesses fist bumping one another and laughing about the assault afterwards, according to the lawsuit. 2 police brutality victims will receive $450,000 from the city of Euclid.
To me, it was wrong.
The effects ongoing.
I mean, I got my license, but I'm just nervous to be on the road and just nervous to live my daily life.
But today, he's also feeling something else.
I'm happy that some type of justice is getting served. Hopefully we pray for a conviction.
A special prosecutor filed these criminal charges against Michael Amiott this afternoon. The Euclid officer faces 2 misdemeanor counts of assault and 1 count of interfering with civil rights.
Like, it really means a lot to me, like, because without that, I really felt like it wasn't going nowhere. I didn't have any hope. I was just hopeless. I feel like you can't beat the police.
And for good reason. Amiott was fired over Hubbard's violent arrest, but the officer got his job back a year later after he appealed through arbitration. And with the clock quickly running out on the statute of limitations to file criminal charges, Hubbard thought today would never come.
The message that's sending is you can like file a complaint and something might happen. So that's the message it's sending.
Sean George says despite his clean record, he was treated like a career criminal. The Euclid City employee says the officer who roughed him up is the same cop who was placed on leave for a violent encounter over the weekend with another man the same age. Were you out of control? Were you acting like a maniac?
No, in fact, I was still shocked that I got hit the first time. So I'm frozen in fear because, I felt like I was going to die that day.
Sean George has never been in trouble with the law before. The 25-year-old works as a program manager in the City of Euclid Recreation Department. He decided to see why a juvenile was on the ground in handcuffs, but he says police did not like him asking questions or taking video on his cell phone.
He said I wasn't allowed to record. Took my phone out of my hand, put my arm behind my back, so I had one arm behind my back, and hit me up against the back of the cruiser, the SUV, and then tackled me to the ground.
George says he suffered injuries to his head after being slammed into a police vehicle, then into the ground.
At this point, I'm laying on my arm. Yeah. I got guys on my back, and I hear, the click of the belt. So I'm figuring something's going to come out of this belt, and I'm just hoping it's not a gun. But it was pepper spray when I saw it, so I turned my head this way because no one wants to get pepper sprayed, and I took 2 shots to the ears and 1 in the mouth.
George says the officer who roughed him up is the same officer who was caught on camera in a violent confrontation over the weekend.
The trial. There's a jury trial in Euclid, Ohio this week, where Euclid police officer Michael Amiott is being prosecuted for a use of force incident following the 2017 traffic stop of Richard Hubbard. Amiott is charged with 2 counts of assault and 1 count of interfering with civil rights. Cell-phone video showed the officer repeatedly punching Richard Hubbard after he was pulled over for an unspecified moving violation. Hubbard was accused of resisting arrest after allegedly refusing Amiott's orders, and the ensuing struggle resulted in Hubbard being hit multiple times while on the ground. The criminal charges against Hubbard were later dropped, and while he suffered no permanent injury.
You may be seated. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you've advised the bailiff that you've arrived at a verdict. Have you arrived at a verdict?
Yes, sir.
If you would, please pass it to the bailiff. The heading in the Euclid Municipal Court, Cuyahoga County, Ohio, State of Ohio, plaintiff versus Michael Amiott, defendant. Case number 19-CRB-00890. Verdict. We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, do hereby find the defendant Michael Amiott not guilty of assault, a misdemeanor of the first degree in violation of Section 2903.13a of the Ohio Revised Code as charged in Count 1. We do so render our verdict this 29th day of July, signed by all 8 jurors. Verdict. We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, do hereby find the defendant Michael Amiott guilty of assault, a misdemeanor of the first degree, in violation of Section 2903.13a of the Ohio Revised Code as charged in Count 2. We do so render our verdict this 29th day of July, 2022, signed by all 8 jurors. Verdict. We, the jury, being duly impaneled and sworn, do hereby find the defendant Michael Amiott guilty of interfering with civil rights, a misdemeanor of the first degree, in violation of Section 2921.45a of the Ohio Revised Code, as charged in Count 3. We do so render our verdict this 29th day of July, 2022. Signed by all 8 jurors. Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, are these your verdicts?
Yes, sir.
Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, I want to thank you all for performing your civic duty. One of the things that I will say is that you've done your job. You came, you heard the evidence, you applied the law, you made a decision. The prosecutor had a job, the defense attorney had a job. Your job was not to prove anything or disprove anything. Your job was to determine what was presented to you, determine the facts, apply the law, render a verdict. You did that. You should leave feeling that you've done your job. No second guessing, you've done your job. If someone else didn't, that's not your job. You've done it. With that, you will be discharged. If you'd like to hang around a few minutes and talk with me, I will do that. If you do not, that's entirely understandable. Sometimes the lawyers would like to talk with you to determine how they came across to you. But again, that is your decision as to whether you wish to speak with them. With that, anything prior to discharging the jury?
No, Your Honor.
On behalf of the defendant, anything? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, thank you very much. You're discharged at this time. If you want to wait in the jury room, I'll meet with you later. With that, you're discharged. All rise.